Hello today, my dear viewer, and welcome back to October Celebrations. Today, we'll be going after a semi-recent trend of games, mimic games. So let's get to it. On January 15th, 2021, the Mimic was created on Roblox. The game had you in search of your missing friends in an abandoned school that quickly goes south. Given the stunning graphics, chapter-by-chapter release, and interesting gameplay, YouTubers quickly pounced on it and made videos about it. A bunch of groups saw it and decided, hey, we can do that too! And thus the wave of Mimic clones was spawned. So let's take a look at one of the earlier ones, Judy. How about that? Judy, being one of the first of its kind, naturally is one of the most well-known. But does it stack up to its success? Well, the game made you investigating the disappearance of Judy, an aging Hollywood star turned, something. So you board in her theme park and try to figure out what's happening here. You do puzzles, escape weird robots, and kill everything. One thing I immediately noticed was how disconnected it all felt. You go for a water park ride, then a bunch of halls to light a fire while escaping a robot spider. Then you go through some vents, escape some random plastic sturgeon in this comically large shaft. You go from an abandoned theme park, some weird shed, mess around in a warehouse, I think. Then go fight a giant robot Judy with many segments you have to bash with a hammer. And then the chapter just ends. There's no rhyme or reason to it all. What about chapter 2? You go in a mansion, grab a camera to flash Judy with, go through some puzzle where you move the opposite direction Judy tells you to go, swim in some underwater library, fire cannons at a cage to get a key, go outside and into some huts, make some antidote for Judy. Didn't know she was infected, but alright. Into the mansion again to go through some labyrinth with some Hydra-looking monster Judy. You free Judy's soul. She tells you about some Linda girl who's apparently orchestrated this whole thing, and now we gotta go stop her. Or something. Chapter 2 is a little more complex and strung together, but it still feels like we're just being pushed into these situations. For chapter 3, I don't even know what's going on anymore. You talk to this tree lady who says Linda killed her in a limo or something, free her, go for some other bullshit, arrive in a lighthouse full of monsters, and apparently Linda threw Judy's body into a big ass pit. Then you arrive in some garden, talk to some horse guy that killed or something, break open a trap door, do an obby, go through some abandoned theme park or something with a chess puzzle, when you step on the color of the animal on screen, from a mirror maze, into a big chamber, you fight a demon in the chamber which is really goddamn big, then Linda and the demon chick go into Judy's body, okay? So that's what I could gather. Felt weird and disconnected, and that's just a basic summary. There's a lot of stuff in this game, though it all feels quite worthless, because it can all be summarized in a few events for each chapter. However, to be fair, one thing I will give it is building. It's stellar and really atmospheric. There's so much personality and charm to it. Though the reasons for entering the environments are jank, the environments themselves are all very pretty and kinda makes you forget how disconnected it all is. Might as well be classified as a showcase game with stuff to do. Nice stuff. Overall, this one is very well made and is very cool. However, it makes like no sense and doesn't have much going for it in the story department. If I'm being honest, this kind of game really does make me roll my eyes, as it's like the picky and campy trend before it. However, unlike those trends, I feel like this one deserves to be discussed. I feel one of the strengths of this trend, first of all, is the building. Most of these games are really well built and have great atmospheres. So there's more expectations, meaning less games will be made for this trend. And the less low quality garbage, the better. Secondly, pairing with the first, since there is actual atmosphere and other good things like good music choices, decently difficult segments that don't make you rage as you can just respawn, and creepier designs, these are the closest trend games get to scaring the player, as it allows for much more versatile tactics than the tried and true predictable plot points of camping games and the over-monetization of piggy games, of which both will be points in their respective videos. However, they do lack in one very important compartment. Just like the trends before them, they lack a good story. A good way to think of this is to ask yourself, why? Why am I here? Why am I doing this? If you don't really have a reason, or it doesn't make sense, that's a problem. Think of the original camping. We're on a camping ship, and on the second night, everyone stays in the cave. Why? Because on the first night, a monster came out, and one of the tents collapsed, which one tent wasn't enough room apparently. The logic's a little skewed, but believable. But then you go out into the rain that has already been established as poisonous or something, and it hurts you. Why? Because you need food and forgot the picnic basket. But you could simply wait out the rain and go back in the morning, as it's not like you're literally going to die for a night without food. But I guess that wouldn't work anyway, because the cave collapses the second after you're done eating. So we have to do it, because the plot is trying to force us along a path that we have no choice but to go down. See what I mean? This is the same kind of logic for other games as well. Let's take the game from earlier, Judy, for example. We are going through Judy's abandoned theme park. Why? It's never really explained, probably to keep the mystery up. We keep going, encountering a bunch of monsters and going through more areas, but we're never given an explanation as to why this is. Although Mimic might not have the best story, it makes some sense, even if not a lot. You're exploring your abandoned high school to find your missing friends, and you go in the basement, find some spooky shit, and just keep going. Not really asking any questions or turning back. Though the second you really get into the demon dimension, it's not like they would really let you turn back. Another point is that though you can certainly have horrifying creatures in your game, and it's certainly better than whatever Piggy or Camping is doing, like all horror games like this, eventually you'll get desensitized to these little mazes, fetch quests, and scripted events for a cheap scare. Horror needs atmosphere and build up to work. Even though your game may look pretty, it also needs to have an atmosphere that enhances the horror. How about a claustrophobic one, a silent one, a completely empty area? Whatever. There needs to be some factor that transforms this mid-tier horror game into a nightmare-delivering freak show. However, because of the short runtimes, usually being 30 minutes a chapter, they're full of scares that don't get the time they need to work, because we need YouTubers to come in and do the over-exaggeration reaction to boost our players. I think this is where these games suffer. They're built to be played by important figures in the community, because that's tried and true formula. It's what boosts player counts, after all. When your game is successful, you'll learn that, to kids, one was never enough. And we need to copy those who already made it and not innovate, because that's not what propels the platform forward. These games have potential, it just feels like they're being held back by Roblox's business model when it comes to games. So let's wrap things up. This script has been through development hell for long enough. Sorry if it felt like I was just rambling there. I'm just trying to say what comes to mind. So, that's where you come in. I want you people, down below, to say what you like and dislike about these games, because there's lots of room for discussion here. So yeah, comment down below. I want to see what you have to say. Aside from that, I hope you enjoyed this edition of October's Celebrations.